So I'm sure we're all familiar with the War for Cybertron trilogy at this point, and it's jumped from spacey reimaginings to the G1iest G1 has been since G1, with spot-on alt modes and all sorts of accuracy-based wish fulfillment that divisively made people very happy or very angry for being so precisely 1984 focused. Personally, as someone who only started earning enough to collect around the beginning of Kingdom, I thought the WFC trilogy was great. I could jump right in and get fantastic versions of the characters that I really wanted at the front of my shelves, without the hassle of searching for half-decade-old toys. But I do get where the complaints come from. I mean, people who collected classics in Universe getting new versions of all those characters they already had in Siege, then replacing them with the Earth mode versions of them just a year later must have been a total buzzkill. And sometimes you really have to question if those kinds of purchases are worth it. I mean, just take the War for Cybertron Datsuns for instance. A few months back I got Siege Smokescreen and Barricade at a toy fair for some reasonable prices, and I think they're alright. I like Barricade a lot more than Smokescreen since the face details come across a little angrier, probably a symptom of the Siege edginess. The mold itself is alright, it looks good, if a little gangly from the diaphragm down to the knees, but there are just a few choices here that I'm not the biggest fan of, like the large hollow calves that look very structural, the way the windscreen backplate sits on this awkward strut, and the door wings not really having a point to sit. Would have appreciated either a resting point or some detents to the motion. The paint on these two is pretty nice. I do really like the use of the Cybertronian glyphs on the door wings for the police sign and the racing number respectively, although I do feel that Smokey here could be wearing it a little prouder. Accessories are good, the shoulder guns look really nice but don't sit too well, however there are options like hand pegs to use them as batons, or you can combine them into a smaller singular double gun, but the rifle looks a bit indistinct and measly. The unfortunate letdown for me here are the feel and the posing. They have good amounts of joints, but the janky proportions and weirdly designed legs just stop the poses flowing naturally. The transformation here is a little doughy and squishy to get things to hold together, but it works well enough, and the alt mode is pretty cool, but oddly featureless as a Datsun-shaped cybercar, which is once again worn better by the police bot, with the light bar helping bring the look together. And overall these are fine, but they just have certain things holding them back. Fortunately though, Earthrise came along to pick up the slack and did so with flying success. I mean, just look at Siege Smokescreen and Earthrise Smokescreen there side by side. The proportions are miles better, with solid arms and legs in proportion to the bulky chest. Speaking of the chest, it's been engineered to sit at an angle, making the torso sculpt appear more natural, and allow the door wings to sit at proper locking points. There is, in my opinion, a more well-balanced amount of mechanical detail, especially on the head sculpt, with a much more substantial feel, unlike the kind of techno-vomit aesthetic. The colours on Smokescreen feel much better placed now, with substantially more colour breakup and some giant racing numbers, hallelujah. But the improvements don't stop there. He's got some sweet-ass shoulder cannons that actually sit in their pegs now, and a much more detailed and defined rifle. There are unfortunately no longer any real combination features with the weapons aside from the standard 5mm port connections, but that's fine by me. But the articulation takes a massive bump. The joint ranges have been enhanced to a massive degree, the hips have been redesigned to facilitate better kicks, and a lot of the articulation feels basically limitless. There are some weird tolerance issues that can pop up on the mold. Sometimes the knees can be a hair too loose, and the arms can sometimes be a touch too tight, but that hasn't been a colossal pain for me so far. The transformation is much more well balanced in my opinion, and feels a lot more satisfying when it comes together, and you're left with this excellent little sports car that really embodies the style and energy of the classic Datsuns, with some copyright neutral headlights of course. But some of the details like the rally bumper, the consistent tinted windows, and the quadruple exhaust pipes look so cool and really breathe some life into this mode, but the overall mold in itself is just a marked improvement over the Siege. In fact, I like it so much that I bought it 4 times. Please help me, I have a problem. Now, as far as I'm aware, the first mold mate to follow Smokescreen was the Wargreens exclusive Earthrise Blue Streak. But you've listened to my voice for long enough, so I'll let Chambolism take this one from here.
I very much enjoy the colours of Earthrise Blue Streak. I'm pleased with the choice of red they went for on this figure. This one, not that one.
Strangely enough, there's a couple different shades of red on the go here. Don't know how widespread this is, but mine and Chambo's both have it, so.
Fucking hell, man, I can't shit. I can't shit. Why can't I shit? The gunmetal grey on the bonnet, etc. is a very nice shade, and the silver colour is a very nice contrast to that. The transparent blue plastic is also a nice touch, but brittle as f***. The new head mould of this figure is more sleek compared to Smokescreen's. The mould is more helmet-like instead of hood-like. It also appears he's on Weight Watchers since he has a couple less chins than his brother. The new head crest is a little less pointy than Smokescreen's. It also has more details on the front with some lines and squares. Now, the tits, the most important part. For fuck's sake. The chest area on Bluestreak is thinner in comparison to Smokescreen's, probably due to Smokescreen being a rally car rather than a classic road car. The grille and headlights stay the same whilst the bumper tapers in quicker, which makes the vehicle mode look more classy and sleek. Side note, I recently realised you can plug small guns into the wrists. Speaking of the vehicle mode, the roof of my mould doesn't sit perfectly flush. Upon arrival, with MrLoubat sitting on my mattress as I unboxed Bluestreak, we realised that the back hinges had been snapped and been poorly glued together by the original owner.
I'd be very careful with your copies of these guys. The brittle clear plastic that was all over Earthrise was pretty prevalent here, and there have been many recorded breakages.
The tightness on the shoulders and knees are unfortunately quite loose in comparison to the other joints. Apart from the broken gay roof, because it can't sit straight, get it? I would say this figure is amazing in its own right, and can't wait to make my wallet cry, all thanks to Loubat inducing me to this godforsaken franchise. 10 out of 10 figure, would recommend.
Now, after going through the headache of buying an exclusive from a pharmacy for some reason, Hasbro decided to treat us to not one, but two nigh impossible to obtain US only Amazon exclusive 2-packs. One of which was Barricade and Punch Counterpunch, which I can take or leave, plenty happy with Siege in this case, but the other was Prowl and Ironhide, Prowl being easily the most sought after and prophilic of the Datsun trio, and I still can't believe that I have one in my house. Earthrise Prowl here looks amazing in my opinion. He shares the sleek remolded bumper and new handsome head sculpt with Bluestreak, but in a stark and slimming monochrome white and black, with occasional transparent blue highlights and pops of bright red. Also, there's a little black trim around the alt mode windows. Love that. There are a couple of things that make this version of the mold stand out aside from the choices in colour. He omits the shoulder cannons of the other two, much like the cartoon model, and replaces them with this swishback light bar that I really enjoy the look of. Also, Prowl here is easily the most solid of the set. My copy has none of the loose or tight joint issues, and just moves with such grace. The colour palette and feel of Prowl just own this mold, and regardless of its scarcity, makes it my favourite of the set, but good luck getting one unless you grab the one that's dead. The final release I grabbed of this mold is Legacy Buzzworthy Bumblebee Silverstreak, who released a couple years down the line from the others, and he's rather nice. I love the deep glossy blue and stark white contrast going on here. It makes him very striking, and he works as a good Diaclone homage. One concern I did have with this guy was that the yellow head crest and blue body might make him look a little too similar to Smokescreen, but their individual hues help distinguish them. Interestingly, this figure chooses to use the rally bumper from the Smokescreen variant, alongside the Bluestreak style head, but the vehicle mode lags behind a little, not being quite as striking as his extended Datsun family. I like Silverstreak, but owning this as well as the standard Bluestreak and not having the rest of the Diaclone color lads feels a little redundant. I mostly keep him around as a walking accessory pack for Prowl, and because of his role in my upcoming project Transformers Dominion, stay tuned. Overall, the Siege Datsuns did get a massive worthwhile bump when moving to Earthrise, but I can agree that all the Siege Datsun characters getting Earthrise adjacent re-releases within 18 months or so of them coming out must have been a proper kick in the cock. And I can understand people's frustrations regarding these, and a lot of the other Earth mode redesigns, especially the Seekers. Don't get me started on that nightmare. I think if you get the choice to go for either a Siege or an Earthrise Datsun, I'm pretty much going to recommend the Earth lads every time, but in my own experience, it's not worth having one of the Earth and Space versions of these guys at the same time, and as of releasing this, I've already gotten rid of my Siege Smokescreen. Just be cautious of the aftermarket on these guys, and make sure you ask for pictures of the backs.